maternal o kinder como yo, te invito a Wambaland. Aquí descubrimos que Dios nos hizo y nos ama. En Wamba hacemos muchísimas actividades. Nos conectamos con otros amigos y la pasamos muy bien. Si tú quieres ser parte, entra aquí. Hey, yo soy Axel y estoy en primaria. Si tú estás en primaria, como yo, quiero invitarte a ser parte de Upstream. En Upstream aprendemos a confiar en Dios, a tomar buenas decisiones y a tratar a los demás como nos gustaría ser tratados. Te invito a entrar a este link para que seas parte de un grupo de amigos, actividades y que te conectes con un mentor.
Hola, yo soy Jorge y si tú eres un chavo de secundaria como yo, te quiero invitar a Transit. Transit es un ambiente para jóvenes como tú y como yo para conocer a Jesús y desarrollar una fe propia. Aquí vas a conocer mentores y amigos que van a ayudarte durante esta etapa de tu vida. Si quieres saber más, entra a este link. Ahí te vemos.
Hola, yo soy Emily. Si tú estás en preparatoria, quiero invitarte a Inside Out, un ambiente de chavos en donde buscamos conocer más a Dios, amar a Jesús y a otros de adentro hacia afuera. En Inside Out vas a conocer a chavos de tu edad y te vas a conectar con un mentor que te acompañará en toda esta etapa de la vida. Además, hablaremos de temas que son importantes para ti. Si quieres más información acerca de Inside Out, puedes entrar aquí.
The Living Room es un ambiente en donde los universitarios pueden pertenecer aún sin creer. Yo soy Katia y quiero invitarte a que si estás en la universidad seas parte de este ambiente. Aquí puedes encontrar amigos de tu edad, escuchar un mensaje relevante y práctico para tu vida y conocer más de Dios. Entra a esta liga para saber más de The Living Room.
Hola, soy Matías. Si tú estás en maternal o kinder como yo, te invito a Wambaland. Aquí descubrimos que Dios nos hizo y nos ama. En Wamba hacemos muchísimas actividades. Nos conectamos con otros amigos y la pasamos muy bien. Si tú quieres ser parte, entra aquí. Hey, yo soy Axel y estoy en primaria. Si tú estás en primaria, como yo, quiero invitarte a ser parte de Upstream. En Upstream aprendemos a confiar en Dios, a tomar buenas decisiones y a tratar a los demás como nos gustaría ser tratados. Te invito a entrar a este link para que seas parte de un grupo de amigos, actividades y que te conectes con un mentor.
Hola, yo soy Jorge y si tú eres un chavo de secundaria como yo, te quiero invitar a Transit. Transit es un ambiente para jóvenes como tú y como yo para conocer a Jesús y desarrollar una fe propia. Aquí vas a conocer mentores y amigos que van a ayudarte durante esta etapa de tu vida. Si quieres saber más, entra a este link. Ahí te vemos.
Hola, yo soy Emily. Si tú estás en preparatoria, quiero invitarte a Inside Out, un ambiente de chavos en donde buscamos conocer más a Dios, amar a Jesús y a otros de adentro hacia afuera. En Inside Out vas a conocer a chavos de tu edad y te vas a conectar con un mentor que te acompañará en toda esta etapa de la vida. Además, hablaremos de temas que son importantes para ti. Si quieres más información acerca de Inside Out, puedes entrar aquí.
The Living Room es un ambiente en donde los universitarios pueden pertenecer aún sin creer. Yo soy Katia y quiero invitarte a que si estás en la universidad seas parte de este ambiente. Aquí puedes encontrar amigos de tu edad, escuchar un mensaje relevante y práctico para tu vida y conocer más de Dios. Entra a esta liga para saber más de The Living Room.
Hola, soy Matías. Si tú estás en maternal o kinder como yo, te invito a Wambaland. Aquí descubrimos que Dios nos hizo y nos ama. En Wamba hacemos muchísimas actividades. Nos conectamos con otros amigos y la pasamos muy bien. Si tú quieres ser parte, entra aquí. Hey, yo soy Axel y estoy en primaria. Si tú estás en primaria, como yo, quiero invitarte a ser parte de Upstream. En Upstream aprendemos a confiar en Dios, a tomar buenas decisiones y a tratar a los demás como nos gustaría ser tratados. Te invito a entrar a este link para que seas parte de un grupo de amigos, actividades y que te conectes con un mentor.
Hola, yo soy Jorge y si tú eres un chavo de secundaria como yo, te quiero invitar a Transit. Transit es un ambiente para jóvenes como tú y como yo, para conocer a Jesús y desarrollar una fe propia. Aquí vas a conocer mentores y amigos que van a ayudarte durante esta etapa de tu vida. Si quieres saber más, entra a este link. Ahí te vemos.
Hola, yo soy Emily. Si tú estás en preparatoria, quiero invitarte a Inside Out, un ambiente de chavos en donde buscamos conocer más a Dios, amar a Jesús y a otros de adentro hacia afuera. En Inside Out vas a conocer a chavos de tu edad y te vas a conectar con un mentor que te acompañará en toda esta etapa de la vida. Además, hablaremos de temas que son importantes para ti. Si quieres más información acerca de Inside Out, puedes entrar aquí.
The Living Room es un ambiente en donde los universitarios pueden pertenecer aún sin creer. Yo soy Katia y quiero invitarte a que si estás en la universidad seas parte de este ambiente. Aquí puedes encontrar amigos de tu edad, escuchar un mensaje relevante y práctico para tu vida y conocer más de Dios. Entra a esta liga para saber más de The Living Room.
Bienvenido.
Welcome everyone. Thank you for connecting to Vida In at Home. My name is Jair de la Garza and I am part of the Vida In Mexico City team, and I love to have the opportunity of receiving you in our transmission today. If you are part of our family, thank you for connecting. Thank you for connecting every week. I want you to know that Sunday after Sunday there is an amazing number of people who connect to our transmission. Not only they connect, they share, comment, and they are committed with their times, their resources, so that every Sunday of Vida In at Home is possible. Thank you for that. If this is your first time watching online because someone sent you the link, or maybe you saw our transmission in the feed of a friend of yours, let me tell you, it's a privilege for us to share time with you today. Everything we do has in mind of adding value to your life. What you hear, the experience we want to provide for you, has all the intention of it being practical and relevant for your life. Actually, our vision as an organization, both our churches in Monterrey, Saltillo, and Mexico cities, is being a place everyone loves to attend. And when we say everybody, we especially think of people who don't like or are not interested in the church. So we want that regardless where you are in your faith journey, in your experience of faith in your life, that you can enjoy, participate, and connect today. In these spaces, we usually do two things. We usually sing songs to God because we believe that connects us to God. It does something inside of us. And we share biblical, practical messages because we believe that's where we can find answers to maybe the most difficult questions in lives. But you don't have to believe everything to belong. Actually, we like to say that you don't have to believe to belong. We genuinely believe that we are committed to creating digital environments and physical environments where you can feel comfortable asking questions or expressing doubts that can come to your mind. Today is very special because we're launching a new series. It's a new series called Better for It. And it has everything to do with this 2020 experience called COVID-19, because we genuinely believe that even through the COVID-19 experience that has impacted everyone directly or indirectly, you can be better for it. So here's part 1 of Better for It with Alejandro Mendoza.
Como tú,
Like you, I am needing honestly things to go back to normal. And this is something all of us have in common at this point of the game, almost 3 months after being quarantined or after this crisis and handling it at home. Friends, thank you for being with us and staying connected at the beginning of this new series that will take 3 weeks, where we will take the opportunity to talk about this reality that we've lived in the last weeks and months. And we will talk about a topic I am sure will be very useful after we go back to normal. But before that, I want to take a moment to share with you that we've been working very, very hard building a plan for going back physically to our campus, operating in this new normality as a church. And of course, we've been building wisdom for it to be wise and safe, and part of that is that we want to hear your voice, your opinion in regards to going back. Actually, we prepared a very brief 9-question survey that you will be able to complete, and we would love for you to answer at the end of this message. We're going to put the link on the screen and the chat of our transmission. The thing is this: thinking about all this quarantine and being all this dynamic that arose from this crisis. For some people, it has been vacation, some pause, rest, and people have enjoyed it. Other people, and I believe it for most, it has been very stressful. Whatever the case, whether you have enjoyed it or you are anxious, wanting to go back, the point is that all of us want normal. Actually, when you think about it, it would be a shame to waste the opportunity of extracting and learning from this crisis and taking this into the future with us. That's why people are not talking about normal, but a new normal, where you and I basically part imposed, another part voluntarily, we will be able to face this new world that we are discovering. And when I say impose, maybe by the authorities, the sector you work in, or the new habits people will acquire in general. Or some of them will look good, some of them won't, but there's something that will be voluntarily and is in your hands. This is why we've called this series as we have. And from it, we've asked the question, how can we be better for it because of all that's happening? How can I be better? How can you be better? And it's extremely relevant for the moment we are living after several weeks, months of being quarantined or with an alteration in our routine. Again, it would be a shame that we get out of this the same, because I'm sure pain, and you think the same way, pain without gain it's a shame. It's a lose of time. And maybe some people are not ready, and I don't know your experience in detail, what has happened, the challenges that you have faced, but I know something. I know that regardless if you feel ready to ask yourself this question of how to be better for it, because you are saying, maybe, Ale, I am in the middle of all this. How can I be better for it if I'm only going through it? I'm going through the consequences. But anyway, going out of this the same would be a shame. And thinking about the tension that is created between pain and suffering, I have here with me an old book. It's a book I've had for a long time. It's a C.S. Lewis book. He's famous for writing the Chronicles of Narnia, but not only that, he's written a lot of books, or he wrote a lot of books. He is a Christian author from the last century, at the beginnings of the last century, and this book is called The Problem of Pain. And there, Lewis talks about this tension that there exists between pain and suffering. And I'm going to read a couple of phrases from the book which I believe clearly illustrate that tension there exists when we are in pain, but it's an opportunity to grow. He said this: "My own experience is something like this. I am progressing along the path of life in my ordinary, contently fallen and godless condition." Talking about normal. Absorbed in a merry meeting with friends, a party over here, a new book over there. Suddenly, a stab of abdominal pain that threatens serious disease. Maybe mayhem, a pandemic. That wasn't said by Lewis, it was said by me. Then my house of cards fall down. At first I am overwhelmed, and all my little happiness look like broken toys. Then I slowly recover the state of mind I should have at all times. I am aware of my dependence of God, and I take strength out of the right source. And this is a phrase I love. But the moment the threat is withdrawn, and I'm going to make a pause here because I know you anticipated what comes after this. And I know it because you and I have been there. In a sense, it's a story. 2-3 months ago, or 2 weeks ago, or a year ago, your spouse came and told you, we've talked too much about it, we've been to therapy, we've been to counseling, we've read books, and I see no permanent change in you, so either you change right now or I'm gone. So you sat down straight and you started changing your behavior, and you paid attention, and things started to change for the better for a time. Or maybe in your case is that you are a single woman, and maybe you have lived your life enjoying without a lot of moral standards, and suddenly there's an idea that causes you a lot of fear. Maybe you are pregnant from an unstable relationship, an unexpected pregnancy, and all that religious baggage that you knew it comes back, and you find yourself praying like you had never done in a long time. Eventually you realize you are not pregnant, and beyond you being grateful, you start fixing your moral behavior for a while. Or maybe you are in front of your doctor and he tells you, we've talked about this several times, but now I'm serious, if you don't change immediately, radically, your behavior, your eating habits and exercise habits, you won't even meet your grandchildren. That is a wake-up call for you, and you go home making decisions, changing, and you think, yes, this is the time, and you start introducing changes in your eating habits, in your exercise, and you see your health improve for a while. And you and I know what happens after that phrase, but when the threat is withdrawn, we go back to our old habits. And I want to ask you, what is it that happens to us? What happens to you and I as human beings that we expect, hitting rock bottom, to be able to make a decision to introduce changes that we have always known, or we have always suspected we needed to implement? It's part of human nature. We go back to our old habits. C.S. Lewis finishes saying this: "But the moment the threat is withdrawn, All my nature goes back to the toys. God has had me for 48 hours, and only by dint of taking everything else away from me. Let him but sheath that sword for a moment, and I behave like a puppy when the hated bath is over. And I don't know if you have puppies at home. We have a puppy at home. Her name is Callie. My kids love them. But every time we bathe her, it's the same, because once the hated bath is over, she wants to go back to the dirt. And that's what C.S. Lewis says, talking about human nature of going back to old habits after the threat is over. It says, I am like a puppy when the hated bath is over. I shake myself as dry as I can and race off to reacquire my comfortable dirtiness, not in the nearest manure heap, at least in the nearest flower bed. And I know that's harsh. It was written by C.S. Lewis. Don't see it as an offense. But 3,000 years back, approximately, famous King Solomon of Israel wrote something similar. Probably C.S. Lewis was inspired to write what you just heard in this statement from Solomon. He said, as a dog goes back to its vomit, so a fool repeats its folly. And that is something very, very hard. And precisely that is the case why we decided to do this series, because again, it would be a shame to get out of all of this the same. Going out of this the same would be a shame. This question, how can we be better for it, is a question that we would struggle with for this next 3 weeks. And I want to apply today these questions to 3 specific areas. The first one is, I want you to apply this to your financial life. How can you be better for it financially? How can I be better for it financially? There are different ways of asking this. Another one would be, what have I been doing or not doing that I regret today for doing or not doing, financially speaking? Because I'm sure today, like most people, you are experiencing a financial pressure. It doesn't matter if it was because your salary got reduced, or if you're the owner of a company, you're selling less. It doesn't matter if you or your spouse lost your job. You are experiencing a financial pressure. And my point is, you and I can use that pressure to be better for it, and therefore come out of this crisis better financially speaking. There is a reality, a financial reality, that although it's very harsh, we need to embrace, and it's this: a financial hole. A financial hole is due in part, and I'm going to put in part in parentheses because probably it could be most part or most of the times. A financial hole is due to a lack of self-control. And probably you hate me for saying this or for hearing this, and you have your own argument to explain why you are in a financial hole if it's your case. But let me illustrate it this way. Before this crisis, probably you thought, you know what? Financially speaking, my problem is that I wish I had more money. I wish my income was higher. I closed that business, or I had that opportunity. I wish I had more money. But during the crisis, you're thinking differently. What you're probably thinking is this: I wish I had saved more. What is the same to saying, I wish I had had more self-control. It's difficult, yes, but it's a truth we need to embrace in order to improve. Now it's a time, not later. Now it's a time to putting into practice that you suspect you should have done in the past, or that you heard or someone advised, or that you knew you had to do but it was too difficult. Talking about self-control, the same King Solomon wrote this in another proverb. He said, like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Maybe that doesn't make a lot of sense culturally speaking for you and I, because we don't have cities surrounded by walls. Well, the neighbor to the north, well, that's another story. But in the past, 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, the city with walls had peace, security, certainty, prosperity. Certainty. What Solomon is exemplifying with this is that in any area of your life that we don't have control or self-control over, you and I are exposed to losing our peace our safety, our certainty, and our prosperity, or the possibility of being prosperous. And that is exactly what happens when talking about our financial lives. There are three things, honestly, from a financial point of view, personally and our family finances require a lot of self-control. And I believe there's the practical application of this question in your finances personally. And they are this: save more, spend less, keep yourself out or maintain yourself out of debt. Save more, spend less, or be out of debt. You and I went into this crisis with a level of saving, with a level of spendings, and with a level of debt. Let's get out of it with a better level. And I confess, for Eliana and I, the great learning from this crisis, financially speaking, we went into it with a level of savings, and we realized that we needed to save more. We don't have debt, and I am grateful with Eliana most of all because she is the financial brains of this family. But we need to save more. That's our great lesson, or great takeaway. And to close the financial topic, you will be tempted to assign the responsibility of your financial crisis, financial hole, or pressure to the virus, to the institutions, to the government, to the politics, to your employer. And I get it. Actually, I'm sure in part that's true. But there is a piece of the pie which is your responsibility. It's mine. We need to embrace and assume that piece of the pie. And that's my challenge. Kindly and respectfully, I want to encourage you to evaluate what is your part of responsibility in that financial situation you are in. Application number 2 out of 3. How can I be better for it? Not financially, but relationally speaking. How can you and I be better for it relationally? I'm sure right now you have valued or you have confirmed how valuable friendships are during this time, or the power a strong marriage has, or the importance of maintaining a significant connection with your children, because this has its ups and downs relationally speaking. If you went into this crisis with unresolved cracks in your marriage, you are still suffering a lot of tension because of that at home, because you spend more time together. Or if you went into this crisis with a very strong marriage, you say, thank God we have a strong marriage that has let us face this together. Maybe your case is that you realize you don't have a lot of things in common with your children or with one of them. And probably that happened because you were so busy that you weren't paying attention. But now that you're spending so much time with them, that's the case. The lockdown has been like a magnifying glass to highlight the good and the bad in our relationships. Good and bad relationally speaking. This lockdown has become like an alarm, and this is my desire, honestly, that this crisis is like an alarm relationally speaking for you and I, that it awakens us, that it makes us wake up and pay attention to that which we should pay attention, and we suspected that we needed to do that in a friendship relationship with your spouse or with your children, because at the end of the day, you and I want to tell a great story coming out of this crisis. Relationally speaking, this is my prayer, that you can say at the end of this pandemic, you know what? COVID was the catalyst that saved my marriage because I finally paid attention, or COVID was a catalyst for making my relationship with my children stronger. Third and last application. How can we be better for it? Not financially, not relationally, but personally speaking. And when I say this, when I say personally, I refer to internally. How can you be better, or how can I be better internally from our perspective of the world, how we see things spiritually? Because every crisis, and I'm sure you agree with me, every crisis has the potential for shaking our foundation, what we are internally, right? We begin questioning ourselves and asking, should I continue to see life the way I see it, making the decisions I'm making, prioritizing as I'm prioritizing? Every crisis has that potential. And if you are not a religious person, which, by the way, thank you for connecting to us, because we do everything for you. But if you don't consider yourself religious, and maybe you have discovered thinking, you know what, now this God topic was out of my radar from my childhood, maybe, but now it's like surfacing. Maybe you are praying for the first time in a long time, or you started looking for an old Bible you had at home, or you downloaded an app on your phone. The thing is that even though you thought this spiritual God thing was left behind, it's coming back. So use it. And if you consider yourself a Jesus follower, and now that we're talking about difficult questions, have you asked yourself, was my faith strong enough as I thought? Or did you discover your faith was more fragile than you thought? Regardless of where you are, on which end you are, very spiritual or religious or non-religious and non-spiritual, the question, why are you are, God, why do you allow this? My point is, pay attention to the tension this is creating internally, because that way you will take advantage of this crisis to be better for it. Because again, going back to the internal and spiritually speaking, you will realize, if you pay attention to that tension, that you can come out of this with a stronger faith from this crisis, that you believed in, or you used to believe in, a God that didn't exist, a God you and I were taught in the childhood. For example, the idea that God doesn't allow bad things to happen to good people. But while that is happening, questions have arose. And I just want to tell you, you know what? God allowed the worst thing to happen to the best person in history, and that was Jesus. And he did all that because of love to you and love to me. The thing is, we will overcome this. We will come out of this. But my desire, my wish is that we get out of this better. Our wish, our prayer at Vida In is that you come out better for it financially, relationally, and personally, spiritually. And that we are not like C.S. Lewis, like that puppy that after the hated bath, and in some sense this falls in this category, we hate this. Naturally speaking, we don't enjoy it. We don't enjoy the crisis we're going through. After the hated bath is over, let's not be like the puppy that goes to the nearest flower bed, or even worse, to a manure heap. We can be better for it. And I suspect you and I are alike, pretty much alike, in the sense that after living an experience, no matter how intense it is, we tend to forget it. We tend to pass the page and move forward. I want to encourage you, and with that I'm going to end. I want to encourage you to create a physical reminder. I have an object. You don't have to buy and you don't have to spend, but find a physical reminder, something tangible that will allow you to connect and remember that which you have decided to embrace as a lesson of this crisis, or of this time that we've lived, of this quarantine, financially, relationally, or personally, internally speaking, and that it serves to you as a reminder. Put it in a visible place, an important place in your office, in your house, and let it be a reminder of that which you have decided to extract as a lesson. In my case, and Eliana and my case, it's this ball. We grew up in a baseball playing country. I don't know how to play baseball, but I love to watch it. And baseball balls are very solid. They are different from tennis or other sports balls. Use a racket. They are very solid, and we decided to use this because we've realized we want to continue to build a solid life, and this is a great opportunity for solidifying our lives. It doesn't have to be something like the ball I have here, but I want to encourage you to identify a tangible object to remember this that you are going through, and the lesson or lessons that you decided to extract from it. What I want to do now to finish basically is this. As I said at the beginning, I want to remind you, you are watching the link over here for the poll, the survey that we are organizing. Please answer it. We want to have a safe and timely return, and your voice is indispensable for that. It will be very quick, just 9 questions. But before going over with our program and listening to our amazing band, a couple of songs that I'm sure you will love, again, this is my prayer and my desire for you, that you can come out of this crisis much stronger, much better, financially, relationally, and personally speaking, than how you came into it. I pray for that, and that way I want to close. I send you a very big hug. Let's continue with our program. In the middle of pain, you and I can know who is and how is our God. And on the basis of who He is, we can rest and we can trust in Him. You know, today we want to sing a song together with you where we talk about that God, about that amazing God who opens paths where there are none, who fulfills promises, and that God that even today does amazing, surprising things. I would love to hear this song, to listen to the lyrics of it, and that you can have complete certainty that that God we are singing about is also with you.
Aquí estás, debemos mover, te adoraré, te adoraré. Aquí estás, obrando en mí, te adoraré, te adoraré. Te cantamos, milagroso, abres camino, cumples promesas, luz en tinieblas, mi Dios, así eres tú. Te cantamos, milagroso, abres camino, cumples promesas, luz en tinieblas, mi Dios, así eres tú. Aquí estás, tocando mi corazón, te adoraré, te adoraré. Aquí estás, sanando mi corazón, te adoraré, te adoraré. Te cantamos, milagroso, abres camino, cumples promesas, luz en tinieblas, mi Dios, así eres tú. Milagroso, abres camino, cumples promesas, luz en tinieblas, mi Dios, así eres tú. 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 Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando. Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando. Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando. Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Aunque no pueda ver, estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando. Siempre estás sobrando.
We hope these songs and this message were uplifting for your heart today, especially if this is the first time you connect with us. We are super happy that you were able to do so and that you were connected all the way to the end. Thank you. If you want to know more about Vida In, I will invite you to go into the link that is on the screen and connect, because there you will find all the information you will need. Thank you for being with us. I wish you had an excellent week.